No, this is a island that at its widest level is what, 12 miles from shore to shore, and at its smallest level or smallest location, it's 7 miles between one shore and the other. Is that correct?
I don't have the exact dimensions, but to your point, sir, I think Guam is a small island.
Very small island, and about 24 miles, if I recall, long. So 24 miles long, about 7 miles wide at the least widest place on the island, and about 12 miles wide on the widest part of the island. And I don't know how many square miles that is. Do you happen to know?
I don't have that figure with me, sir. I can certainly supply it to you if you'd like.
Yeah, my fear is that the whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize.
We don't anticipate that. The Guam population, I think, currently about 175,000, and again, with 8,000 Marines and their families, it's an addition of about 25,000 more into the population.
And also things like the environment, the sensitive areas of the environment, coral reefs and those kinds of things. And I know that, you know, lots of people don't like to think about that, but, you know, we didn't think about global warming either. And now we do have to think about it. And so I'm concerned from an environmental standpoint whether or not Guam is the best place to do this relocation, but it's actually the only place. Is that correct?
This is the best place. This is the farthest west U.S. territory that we own. And, you know, this is part of our nation. And in readdressing the forward presence and posture importance to Pacific Command, Guam is vital to this decision.
Under the Speaker's announced policy of January 5th, 2011, the Chair recognizes the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Johnson, for 30 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was thinking to myself earlier today, what happens when you put in a cage fight a giant in with a midget? Well, the midget will not win the fight, I'm going to tell you that. Why? It just doesn't carry enough weight to do so. But if you put 30 midgets in with that giant, then the midgets have a chance. But to my discovery, just within the last 12 hours or so, I have found that the use of the the use of the M word is no longer socially acceptable. Now, the M word refers to a group of people, the little people. But when we say little people, I'm not talking about the Leona Helmsley little people. I'm not talking about the 47%. I'm not talking about the takers instead of the makers, as some would describe them. I'm not talking about the middle class, working people, working poor people. That's not what is meant by the little people term. It really refers to a medical condition. Dwarfism is the name of that medical condition, and sometimes I guess one can even say abnormally small people, which to me is, I like that term better than dwarfism. This bill, which shows that this Tea Party Congress will make the tough choice to keep children's birthday parties on schedule and give industries that rely on helium the lift that they deserve. Imagine, Mr. Speaker, a world without balloons. How can we make sure that the injustice of there being no helium for comedians to get that high-pitched voice that we all hold near and dear to our hearts? Imagine a world without balloons. Today, the House has chosen to just simply float above it all. And finally, we're going to do something for the American people, and we should all pat ourselves on the back for that. Too often lately, this body has sat deflated. Not for a lack of hot air, mind you, but seriously, ladies and gentlemen, unlike a noble element, this House has failed to act on Americans' real concerns. There are serious reasons to support this bill, and I do look forward to supporting it. The substance of this bill is not